Hey guys, welcome to Under the Arch Sports. I'm Eric.
And I'm David.
And today we are talking Blues hockey. Can you believe it? We're getting hockey back. Proof positive that we talk about more than just Mizzou. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Find us on Facebook and find us on Instagram. Now, Dave, the Blues have announced Ryan O'Reilly as the new captain of the St. Louis Blues, taking over for Alex Pietrangelo, who signed with Vegas. And he's going to be leading the Blues into one of the most unique seasons I think anybody's ever seen for the NHL.
Yeah, tell me about it. Going into this season, let's go through some dates just to give you guys an idea of what's going to happen this year. The start date for the season is tentatively set for January 13th. They're talking about no exhibition games and just going straight into it. Going down the line, April 12th is the tentative expected date for the trade deadline. And then they're looking at the end of the season for around May 8th. After that, the beginning of the Stanley Cup playoffs are looking like they're going to start around May 11th. And then the last likely day of the Stanley Cup playoffs is July 15th. Now, just to put that into perspective, the Blues finished Game 7 of the 2019 Stanley Cup in June 12th. So they're about a month behind what they would normally be on a normal season, if you will. After that, you're looking at the deadline for teams to submit expansion draft protection lists around July 17th. And then the July 21st, the expansion draft for the Kraken, if you will, or the Seattle Karens.
Seattle Karens!
is going to happen. And then the 23rd and 4th will be the NHL draft. And then the free agency period starting around July 28th. The other thing I want to mention is they're talking about the 2021 or the 21-22 season starting as it should normally start at this point. They're hoping they'll get back on track and have a normal season after this year.
Yeah, 56 games this season and then just a short off season. Really, you're talking 2.5 months and then getting into a full season after 56 games plus playoffs for whoever makes it. My wife has for a couple of years now threatened to leave me for Ryan O'Reilly. If he leads the Blues to a Stanley Cup in this crazy season, I think she's probably going to make good on that. She loves him, and I think you all should love him too if he can lead the Blues through this season, and it's going to be hard. You look at division alignment. All divisions that we're used to are gone for this season. Instead, you have a Northern Division, which is all the Canadian teams. You have a Western Division, a Central Division, and an Eastern Division. The Eastern Division is roughly the Metropolitan Division that we're used to. The furthest south team is the Washington Capitals. The furthest west is the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Central is Carolina, Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, Detroit, Florida, Nashville, and Tampa. Then you have the West. Anaheim, Arizona, Colorado, Los Angeles, Minnesota, San Jose, Vegas, and the Blues. That is a loaded division. We'll talk about that in a second. But what they're going to do for the playoffs is something that I think for, in a COVID era, we both like, Dave, because it adds for unpredictability, right? You're going to have the top 4 teams in each division are going to make the playoffs. They will be kind of their own 4-team tournament. So the 1 seed, whoever has the most points in that division, will play the 4th place team. 2nd and 3rd are going to play each other. The winners of those series will play each other. That'll be the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And what you're going to have is essentially 4 division champions that will be the Stanley Cup semifinal. That's the same round that is normally your conference finals. And what they're going to do is they're going to take the 4 division champions and they're going to reseed them based on points. And you have a 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3 winners play each other. So what that means is the Blues could play, if the Blues were to make it far enough, they could play anybody outside the Western Division in the Stanley Cup final. You could have Blues Jets. You could have Blues Blackhawks. You could have Blues Predators or any other normal Eastern Conference team. Looking around the NHL, you could have a Boston-Montreal Stanley Cup final or Boston-Toronto. Or you could have a Tampa Bay versus Florida. You know, there's all sorts of possibilities. But Dave, going back to this Western Division, this thing is absolutely loaded.
Yeah. Looking at it, you have Anaheim, Arizona, Colorado, Los Angeles, Minnesota, San Jose, and Vegas. And I know you kind of went through them, but I do have a little beef with how they set this up because you have Minnesota, who's just sitting way up north, minding their own business, doing whatever. And then you have St. Louis, who's right in the middle of the country. I guess I could see why they'd take St. Louis over to the west. But, I mean, because, you know, gateway to the west and all that. But if you look at the Central, they have Dallas sitting in the Central. I mean, why not flip the two?
Dallas is further west than St. Louis, but they're in the Central and the Blues are in the west.
But, yeah, my beef is not necessarily with who we're playing because, again, to be the best, you have to beat the best. My biggest issue, though, is as a fan – you're looking at TV times. Other than Minnesota, the Blues have to play all their road games either in Mountain Time or Pacific Time. So you're looking at 8 to 10 o'clock game times most of the time when they're on the road. And you're talking 24 out of the 56 games. You're looking at road time starting late.
Yeah, because these games, it's not going to be bubbles like at the end of last season. These are going to be at each team's home arena. And under whatever the local COVID regulations are.
So in that aspect, it's a little frustrating that we weren't in the Central where we could play our time. The other thing I was looking at when I took a look at these conferences is a lot of the West is in the South. So they could have thrown Minnesota and St. Louis in the Central, put Dallas and Florida in the South, in the West, and called it the South instead of the West. I don't know why they didn't do something like that.
Yeah, and this goes back to one thing that you mentioned before we started filming, travel. You know, the Blues, when they go on the road, their closest road game is Minnesota.
Yeah, where if they were in the Central, you're looking at Nashville and Chicago only being 5 hours away.
Yeah, and that's if they're driving. That's what, hour and a half, 2 hour flight?
Yeah.
So, you're looking at a flight from St. Louis to San Jose is going to be about 4 hours going out there, 3.5 coming back, give or take. LA, roughly the same. Anaheim, Vegas. Those are not short trips. So, yeah, I think the Blues got the short end of the stick in that regard. I'd be very interested to see what it would look like if they would have gone with North, South, East, West as their divisions.
Right. Now, I will say this, though. If the Blues do make it into a playoff scenario and get out of the West to the semifinals, if you will, I really do think the Stanley Cup champions are either going to come from the West or probably the East.
Yeah.
This year, just because of how tough both those conferences are.
Yeah. I mean, the Blues could have an excellent season and still be the 3rd seed in the West. I mean, that's the reality of it, given Vegas and Colorado being within the division.
And don't forget the rise of Arizona, too. They're playing better hockey as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I think it works as it is. Maybe it could be better, but I think for COVID, I think it works. I wonder about starting a month late and finishing a month late rather, and then trying to start next season on time. But you know what? It's really hard to get too picky in this COVID era we are living in.
Yeah, the biggest takeaway: Blues hockey's back, baby.
That's it. We got hockey. That's the biggest takeaway. You could whine about all this if you want to, but only do it after you realize that we are less than a month away from having Blues hockey.
Anyway, that's all we have for Under the Arch Sports. Remember to check out our Facebook and Instagram pages, and thank you for watching.
Bye, guys.